Saturday night. That is the way to stand up and fight. That was how a heart of a champion performed. And the Dogs on Saturday night showed what it takes to be a champion. By getting off the mat and answering the bell and taking down the Tennessee Vols. Now, what's next? I'll tell you exactly what's next. And this is maybe something that a lot of Dogs fans don't want to hear. But there is a slight possibility that we may still end up in Atlanta playing for an SEC championship. There's chaos brewing in the SEC, and it could start this weekend. I'm Armando Black, and this is the Dawg Call. Good afternoon. I hope everyone is having a blessed, happy, and productive Monday. And welcome to the Dawg Call. I'm your host, Armando Black. Let's get it started here today. First things first, shout out to my Georgia Bulldogs. Shout out to the Georgia Bulldogs. They took down the number 7th ranked Tennessee Volunteers by double digits. Not only did they cover the spread, and a lot of experts were saying, oh, Vegas must be crazy. There's no way in hell Georgia's going to cover the spread. No way. This must be a mistake. They must know something we don't know. No, they know something that we all know. And when it comes to these type of games, Kirby Smart is a genius. Kirby Smart proved once again Saturday night why he is the best football coach in college, the best coach in college football today. Hands down, it's not even close. It's not even close. Now let's take a look at the tail of the tape. Tennessee comes in with the number 1 rated defense in the SEC. Number 1 ranked pass rush. James Pierce, in my opinion, is a future NFL Pro Bowl player and a future NFL Hall of Famer. Tennessee came into this game at full strength. They got their deep ball threat guy back, Thornton. Nico played the entire 60 minutes. Even when he was sacked on that third down play, he did not come out. He played the entire 60 minutes. We beat Tennessee at full strength. There is no excuse whatsoever. Now I hear a couple of Tennessee fans whining about the calls, whining about the refs, whining about the calls. And I'm going to address that in another video, because you see, Now I understand what a lot of my Florida Gator friends, and I have a lot of Florida Gator friends that are fans. I understand what they've been saying about you Tennessee fans. Y'all are some of the most, y'all are worse than Bama fans. Y'all are worse than Bama fans. Y'all whine and complain more than Bama fans. You lost the game. And in the second half, it was just total domination. Total domination. Yeah, you moved the ball, but you were not going to get in an end zone. Just like Texas. Texas moved the ball against Georgia. Kentucky moved the ball against Georgia. You can move the ball in between the 20s, but you're not going to get it in the end zone on that defense. When we hunker down and get focused and clamp down on you, you're not going to score on that defense. Now, Carson Beck, everybody is saying, where's this Carson Beck been? Where's this Carson Beck been? I've been a big critic of Carson Beck. And a lot of us owe Carson Beck an apology, and myself included. I'm going to publicly give Carson Beck an apology. When I said that he was the worst quarterback under the Kirby Smart coaching tenure, I publicly apologize, Carson Beck. I publicly apologize. All this time, we thought, and a lot of fans thought that some fans thought Carson Beck was the problem. Some fans thought Mike Bobo was the problem. You had some fans calling for Mike Bobo to be fired. You had some fans calling for Carson Beck to be replaced. I didn't agree with either one of those because, like I was telling my co-host Sniper, if Kirby felt like any one of the backups was ready, we would have saw the backup in the second half of that Bama game. Trailing 28-0, coaches usually, if they feel like the backup could come in and do a better job, coaches will usually make that switch at that time. So the fact that we didn't see Rashada or Gunner come out on that field in the second half, that tells me one thing. That Kirby knows something that we don't know about those backups, that they were nowhere near ready. So I wasn't really too gung-ho about making the switch at quarterback. Now, maybe some goal line package plays for Rashada. I would have liked to see that. A couple of package plays for Rashada. The way that Mark Richt had some goal line package plays set up for DJ Shockley, I would have liked to see some packages from Rashada, but Bobo doesn't operate like that. Bobo he goes with the starter, he rides with the starter, and that's what he sticks with. No different than Monken. Monken was the same way. I remember a lot of fans back in 2021, before the Orange Bowl, a lot of Dawgs fans were calling for a switch at QB. JT Daniels. Some fans wanted Carson Beck to start the Orange Bowl, but Monken stood 10 toes down and he stuck with Stetson Bennett. The rest is history. 2 national championships later. When Bobo was the coordinator here at UGA, back during the Mark Richt years, we averaged over 35 points a game. 35 points a game. And this was before the passing era. This was before the change when teams started airing the ball out. Remember, at that time, when Bobo was the coordinator, teams were still ground and pound, run 10 yards in the clouds of dust, where Georgia was running a pro-style offense back then. So the problem was not Mike Bobo. The problem definitely wasn't Carson Beck. The problem was on the left side. And the problem, in my opinion, and I watched that entire game Saturday night, the problem was Ernest Green. Okay? Now, I'm not beating up on the kid. This is not with malice intent, but I'm just calling it what it is. It is what it is. Monroe Freeling came in that game and played lights out. Okay, did he have a perfect game? No, he didn't not have a perfect game, but he protected Carson Beck on that left side better than Ernest Green has done this entire season. Now, I was listening to Kirby's press conference earlier. He was saying something about Ernest Green has been dealing with some injuries. Was he dealing with some injuries against Clemson? Was he dealing with some injuries last season? Was he dealing with some injuries in that SEC championship game? Because he was getting his ass kicked last year and this year. It is what it is. This is not bashing Ernest Green Day, but I'm just calling as I see it. Monroe Freeling being on that left side makes a huge difference. And we all saw it Saturday night. We all saw it with our eyes. Monroe Freeling on that left side makes a huge difference. Carson Beck cannot do. Listen, is he anywhere where he was last year? No. All right. Have we lost weapons? Yes. Have receivers been dropping the balls? Yes. So it ain't all Carson Beck's fault. But it don't make it any better if we're not able to protect him. It don't make it any better if he's having like less than 2 seconds to throw the ball. It doesn't make it any better when as soon as he drops back, there's 2 or 3 linebackers and linemen already ready to sack him. You can't win games like big games like Saturday night and playoff games if you can't protect your quarterback. You will not last. You will not last because you got linebackers nowadays running 4-3, 4-4s, and 4-5s. You got to be able to protect your quarterback. I like the way Mike Bobo switched things up, bringing in an extra lineman at times on running plays. I think that's a damn good idea. A damn good idea, especially when you got players in your backfield that are young. Chauncey Bowens, great job. The kid has great vision. He's a bulldozer. He's going to be a great asset to this team. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with Chauncey Bowens, let's just look at the depth chart. Let me just explain to you all now. Remember now, like I said at the top of the program, Tennessee, #1 defense in the SEC. And let's look at the Georgia running back depth chart. Travis Etienne, out. Branson Robinson, out. Broderick Robinson, out. You have Nate Frazier, and then you have Chauncey Bowens. Chauncey, I'm sorry. Cash Jones, then Chauncey Bowens. Chauncey Bowens is the 6th option. He's 6 on the depth chart. And he ran all over that Tennessee defense the few times he got the ball. That's remarkable. That says something. And the rest of the SEC should be on high alert. Because what we all found out Saturday night is this team is very deep. We lose Dylan Bell. I listened to Kirby's press conference. Don't really know how long we lost Dylan Bell, but we lost Dylan Bell early in the second quarter of that football game. A lot of fans were panicking, getting nervous. Oh, we already short of wide receivers. Oh, Dylan Bell goes down. In comes Nitro Tuggle. And that kid made 2 great catches. One of those catches, and it was a face mask. One of those catches, the Tennessee player ripped his helmet off. And he still held on to the ball. Nitro Tuggle has speed like Arian Smith. He's bigger. He has speed like Arian Smith, but in my opinion, better hands. Get used to hearing that name, Nitro Tuggle. Get used to hearing that name. He's going to get a lot of looks in that UMass game Saturday. He's going to get a lot of, we're going to need him definitely against Georgia Tech. Nate Frazier played a great game. A great game. He didn't have 100 yards rushing. We didn't need him to. See our style of offense. We don't need 100-yard rushers because we're gonna eat in the air. We're gonna do most of our damage to your defense in the air. Nate Frazier did his job Saturday and did it well. When we got down to the goal line and we needed that last score, he got it in. He got it in. And that O-line, shout out once again to that O-line. Great job. Monroe Freeling, listen, Kirby, he claims Ernest Green is dealing with an injury and he wasn't benched. I just hope and pray that Kirby keeps Monroe Freeling on that left side. When it comes down to the playoffs, you got to go with your best players. I don't give a damn about no classification. I don't give a damn about no seniority BS. If you want to win a championship, you go with your best players. And it is clearly obvious that Monroe Freeling is the better lineman. He's the best option to put on that left side of Carson Beck. Because Carson Beck did not get touched at all Saturday night. His jersey was clean. Nico's was dirty. Nico had grass stains, dirt stains, mud stain, all sweat, blood, everything on his jersey. Totally different. Totally different. Now, the Dogs are playoff bound, in my opinion. Take care of business against UMass Saturday. Take care of business against Georgia Tech on Black Friday, and we're in. We're in. Now, I hear a lot of fans saying they don't want no parts of Atlanta, myself included. If I could have my way, I would rather just go in the playoffs, and it don't matter if we get a home game or a road game. I feel like the way we played Saturday night, it doesn't matter where or who we play. We will beat their asses. We will beat their asses if we play the way we played Saturday night. I don't think it's a team that can beat us with the adjustments that we've made. And especially if we get healthier in the 3 weeks, because if we don't go to the SEC championship game, we get an extra week to rest up and heal. So can you imagine we get Jordan Hall back, Broderick Robertson back, Branson Robinson back, Dylan Bell back, and by that time, Colby Young will be back as well, because everything is going to be, they got a hearing on the 5th. From what I'm hearing, everything is going to be dropped. The girl lied on that young man. Everything is going to be dropped and tossed out like it didn't even happen. And he'll be back because he was never kicked off the team. He was just suspended. He was never kicked off the team. So can you imagine getting him back, Dylan Bell back? Tuggle, by that time, Tuggle would have developed some chemistry with Carson Beck. And these tight ends are playing lights out. None of them are Brock Bowers. But let me just say something here, make something real clear here. No, they're not Brock Bowers, but they can block like hell. They can block like hell. And they have developed a chemistry. They have developed chemistry with Carson Beck. Urasek, Delp, and Lawson Lucky have all developed a chemistry with Carson Beck. That makes this tight end room doubly dangerous. And when they catch the ball and they get in the open field, they are hard to bring down. Good luck trying to bring them down. Another thing we found out, Carson Beck is a hell of a lot faster than any of us thought. This notion that Carson Beck is not mobile, toss that on out the window. The kid is mobile. Did you see? Did you see that 3rd and 15 play where he ran for that first down? Did you see how he ran over that Tennessee safety. Not only can he run, he runs hard. Tebow like. The touchdown, the safeties after that first hit that Carson Beck put on him, the safety on the touchdown play, he had like he wanted no parts of Carson Beck. This Georgia team is dangerous. It is dangerous. And this is why so many other fan bases of teams that are actually pretty much good and will make the playoffs did not want Georgia to get in. Ohio State fans, they were pulling like hell for Tennessee. Oregon fans, they were pulling like hell for Tennessee. Miami fans, they were pulling for Tennessee. Colorado BYU fans, they were pulling for Tennessee. Bama fans, hell, Kangaroo Black, I saw you, bro. He had on a Tennessee t-shirt, a Tennessee Volunteers t-shirt. Imagine that. You a Crimson Tide fan and you rocking Tennessee gear. You wanted them to beat us that bad. I know why, man. I understand, bro. You don't want to see us again because you know in your heart that win was a fluke. You know y'all did not see Mikal Williams. You didn't see Smile Munden. And you didn't see Daniel Harris. You didn't see nowhere near the defense. We were missing several players that night. Same thing with Missouri. Same thing with LSU. Same thing with Wisconsin. The only team that you really played at full strength and you beat was South Carolina. And I can't really say that they were at full strength because everyone remember, Sellers was coming off an ankle sprain. He was coming off an ankle sprain that he had against LSU. So I understand why you don't want to see Georgia again, because you know a second dance with Georgia is going to be a different outcome. You know that, and every Tide fan knows that. Just like what happened in Indy 3 years ago. Texas fans, now they needed us to win, but I guarantee they probably was pulling for Tennessee to knock us out. Every fan base that has something invested into the college football playoffs wanted Georgia eliminated because they do not want to see Georgia in the playoffs. Well, too bad. We are here. Notre Dame fans, Penn State fans, too bad. We are here. And somebody's going to get that work in the first round. I don't give a damn who it is. Because in my opinion, and this is why I am so confident, this year is totally different. There is no dominant team right now. There is no team that you can point at and say, oh, they'll step up. They head and shoulders better than everybody else. There's no team like the 2019 LSU Tigers. There's no team like the 2018 Clemson team that was just clearly better than everybody else. There's no team like that 2013 Florida State team that was just clearly better than everybody else. There's no team like that 2010 Auburn Tigers team that was just clearly better than everybody else. There's no team ranked in the top 12 right now that's anywhere on the level of that 01 Hurricanes team that was just clearly better than everybody else in 2001. There's no team on the level of that 2004 USC team that was just clearly better than everybody else. There's parity all across the board. Anybody's game. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's only one team in its entire top 12 rankings that I may lose a little sleep over, and that's Ole Miss. I've said it before and I say it again. I think Ole Miss, in my opinion, Ole Miss is the true best team in the SEC. Now, the problem is some things need to happen. Ole Miss is going to need some help to get to Atlanta because Alabama holds the tiebreaker over them. But I promise you, if Ole Miss and Bama played, if they played a football game tonight, my money would be on Ole Miss because Ole Miss has the better secondary. Ole Miss that has the better O-line, the better D-line, the better pass rush. And in my opinion, the better quarterback. It ain't even close. I will take Trey Harris over Ryan Williams. If Trey Harris is healthy, I would take Trey Harris over Ryan Williams. And I don't think DeBoer could outcoach Lane Kiffin, in my opinion. So if something strange was to happen Saturday, let's just say it. I'm going to go into my second talking points with the chaos in the SEC. I'm sorry. Let's just say if something strange happens, like let's just say, Texas A&M loses to Auburn, or Kentucky upsets Texas. See where I'm going with that? Let's just say if Auburn upsets Texas A&M. Auburn upsets Texas A&M. That opens the door for Ole Miss. And then Texas A&M turns around and beat Texas. That knocks Texas out from going to Atlanta. So that puts Ole Miss in there against Bama. I think Ole Miss head to head will beat Bama. And it ain't no doubt in my mind. I think Ole Miss, not only would Ole Miss beat them, they would beat them by multiple scores. There's no one that can convince me that Bama secondary would hold that Ole Miss offense. I'd be ready to put some money on that. Definitely. But there's some chaos looming in the SEC. Florida and Auburn could shake things up. Florida, Auburn, and Kentucky could shake things up. Florida could catch Ole Miss slipping, which I highly doubt. But Auburn, that is a dangerous, and I do mean a dangerous trap game for Texas A&M, because Texas A&M is looking ahead to Texas. They're not going to be paying attention to Auburn. And this Auburn team, now I know it was Louisiana Monroe, but Louisiana Monroe, if you've been paying attention to that team, they don't take ass whippings like that, like what they took Saturday to Auburn. That Auburn defense has always been good this year. Auburn actually is better, just like Kansas, just like what Kansas is doing over there in the Big 12. Auburn is a hell of a lot better than what their record says. They are way better than what their record says. So there is a strong possibility that Auburn could create some chaos on Saturday and upset the Aggies, which will open the door wide open for Ole Miss and give Ole Miss a slight path to Atlanta. And that's something that you Tide fans don't want to hear, because I know you would much rather face A&M or Texas in Atlanta. You don't want to see Ole Miss. You don't want to see Ole Miss. But it's a possibility that you could see Ole Miss. Oh, yeah. Pay attention, everyone, to that game in Jordan-Hare on Saturday night between Auburn and Texas A&M. Pay close attention to that game in Gainesville, in the swamp, between Florida and Ole Miss. And shout out to Florida for taking care of business against LSU. I had no idea that Florida would beat LSU, because remember now, Florida is playing with a bunch of backups. They've gotten hit worse than any other team in the SEC. They've been hit the worst with injuries. They've been hit with injuries. Lagway is not nowhere near 100%. He's still dealing with hamstring issues, and they went out there and handled LSU. That same team that Bama beat, and the media is already went back to trying to crown Bama as the best team in college football, which I totally disagree with. Totally disagree with. Because that's a Florida team that's hit with injuries, that's playing with the backups, did the same thing to LSU that Bama did to LSU. So, like I said, there is no clear-cut dominant favorite team in the SEC, and there's no clear-cut dominant team nationally. Oregon, really? So let me ask any of you a question. Any of you Georgia Bulldog haters a question. Let's just say, let's take the Oregon Ducks. This is the team that the committee is claiming that's unbeatable. This is the team that the committee right now has set up to be the number 1 seed. Would you like to bet your last dollar? Would you bet your money, your hard-earned money, on the fact that Oregon could beat Georgia on a neutral site? Would you bet your hard-earned money that Oregon could beat Ole Miss on a neutral site? Would you bet your hard-earned money that Oregon could beat Texas on a neutral site? Would you bet your hard-earned money that Oregon could beat Tennessee on a neutral site? Here's an even better question. Would you be willing to put $1,000 on Oregon defeating South Carolina on a neutral field? I say that to say this. That team is not the same outside of Eugene. Let me say it again. That Oregon team is not the same outside of Eugene. I don't think that team is the same outside of a Big Ten schedule. I want to see them line up against a SEC powerhouse. And that goes for the rest of those soft Big Ten schools that are ranked ahead of my Georgia Bulldogs. Ohio State, shaky. Been shaky all year. I tried to give you the benefit of the doubt, but y'all are shaky, man. Penn State, shaky. Shaky. The same team that struggled with Bowling Green, Penn State. Indiana, at home, you struggled with a Michigan team. That same Michigan team that Texas went into Ann Arbor and dragged for 60 minutes. In Ann Arbor. So that top half of that college football rankings don't put no fear in me at all as a Georgia Bulldog fan. I will take my dogs over any other team in the top half of that bracket. There's only one team in the entire bracket that I'm a little concerned about, slightly concerned about, and that would be a rematch with Ole Miss. Because they are built similar to my Georgia Bulldogs. Other than that, any other team, I think we could put them down. My dogs would put them down. But Ole Miss is a problem. In a rematch with Ole Miss, that would be something. That would be a hell of a national championship game or a hell of a playoff game. I'll go as far as saying, if pay attention to this, if Georgia and Ole Miss on opposite sides of the bracket, expect a national championship rematch with Georgia and Ole Miss. A healthy Ole Miss and a healthy Georgia could beat any team in the nation. And that would make one hell of a national championship game. Lane Kiffin, Kirby Smart rematch. But we have a long way to go before then. One game at a time, one game at a time. Right now, here today, November the 18th, 2024, it's all about UMass. It's all about the Minutemen. So everyone, I want to thank you all for coming out. Shout out to our Georgia Bulldogs for taking care of business Saturday night. Looks like we are playoff bound. Carson Beck stood up and showed the world what he was made of. And now Carson Beck has a chance with these last two games. He can go down in history as one of the three quarterbacks that have led this Georgia Bulldogs program to a playoff. It was Jake Fromm the first, Stetson Bennett, now Carson Beck, continuing the tradition that Kirby has started here at Georgia. With our dogs getting to the playoffs. But this time, because we missed the playoffs last year, when our dogs, all we needed was an opportunity to get in. Just like last year. If we'd have got in last year, there's no doubt in my mind, we would have won it. We would have whooped Michigan's ass. We would have whooped Texas' ass. We would have whooped Washington's ass by multiple touchdowns. No problem. But Bama just caught us on a bad day in Atlanta. But this is a different year, different time, this different year. We get into the playoffs, we will be the most dangerous team in that entire bracket. Listen to me real good. My Georgia Bulldogs in the playoffs in 2024 will be the most dangerous team in that entire bracket because we will be well rested, healthier, and a hell of a lot more focused. And remember, when it comes to a playoff game, it's an elimination game. And when our backs are against the wall, that's what makes us dangerous. Everyone, I want to thank you all for coming out. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. Share this video. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell as well. Everyone, thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Love you all. Be back tomorrow with the rankings, the SEC rankings, and we'll talk a little bit about what the committee is going to do tomorrow night. You never know what this committee is going to do. And shout out to Kirby for calling their asses out because they're inconsistent. They're inconsistent. On one hand, you just look at the polls. Just look at the rankings. Head to head doesn't even matter when it comes to this committee. It just seems like they just think of things off the top of their heads. But the top half of that bracket is weak and soft. The top half of those rankings are weak and soft. And I'm talking about that Big Ten. Those Big Ten, those 4 Big Ten teams that they have ranked so high, they're soft. Especially the team they have ranked number 1. Everyone, thank you all. It's been a pleasure. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out. Like I always say, take care of yourselves and each other. And for life, win, lose, or draw, for life, no matter what, it's always going to be go Dogs. Sick 'em. Woo, 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 woo. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.